Non-district play in Central Texas continues for high school football tonight as the Reagan Raiders are on the road to take on the Bastrop Bears. The Bears try to continue their success after defeating Rutgers High School 36-14 in Week 1, while the Raiders are looking to find their first win of the season after falling to Cedar Creek 31-0 last week. Pleasant good evening to you. I'm Karl Schoening, along with my broadcast partner, Chuck Kracy, and we thank you for tuning in to SHN Sports production of the Austin ISD Game of the Week. It's the Raiders and the Bears. And, Chuck, tonight, a road test for the Raiders as they take on what seems to be a pretty athletic Bastrop Bears team.
The Bastrop looks like they're playing pretty well here early. They did play San Antonio Rudder in Game 1. Rudder, a newer high school, so they're just trying to get their footing here in varsity football. I think this may be their second or third year. They were able to defeat Rudder by a score of 36-14, getting a lot of production out of their young junior quarterback Desmond Young, number 11. The Reagan Raiders, of course, took it on the chin from Cedar Creek, and they seem to be making the Bastrop circuit here early in the season. They had 11 returning starters, which tends to be a positive thing for your team, but those 11 returning starters were sophomores, and so they're very young, and with a new coach, it's going to be a little bit before they get their footing going here early in pre-district play.
It will be the Raiders wearing the white jerseys with white helmets and sky blue pants going up against the Bastrop Bears wearing their gray helmets, gray jerseys with white numerals and gray pants.
Yeah, I like the powder blues of Reagan. Been a traditional color combination for many years for the school, and it looks nice and clean here with the white jerseys and white helmets.
Ariel Garcia will kick this one away for the Raiders. Takes a 10-yard charge, puts toe to leather, sends this one high and short. It is bounced and taken at the 25, a cut at the 30, and a fall forward at the 35 to the 40-yard line. The return on the play made by the Bastrop Bears, Cedric Tarver. So that's where the Bears start up with their first series, 1st and 10 from the 40-yard line.
And we'll see if they pick up right where they left off, churning out yards and touchdowns last week against the team from Rudder. Reagan needs to step up their defense here, giving up 31 in Week 1.
As we mentioned, Desmond Young will be in the shotgun here for the Bastrop Bears offense to lead there from the quarterback position. Taking his time before the officials will allow them to get set up. He has Eddie Brown to his left. He'll drop back to pass on the first play of the game. Lobs it up to the receiver Tarver. He catches it, and he'll turn around and go unabated for a touchdown, a 60-yarder to start the ball game on the first play. Bastrop takes a 6-0 lead.
Well, I asked the question, will they pick up where they left off against Rudder, and it looks like they certainly will, as they connect on what looks like a 62-yard pitch and catch for the early score here.
Yeah, only one play in and 6 points up are the Bastrop Bears. A point after attempt here from the kicker Carlos Martinez. Martinez waiting for the snap.
I have to apologize for the camera angle. It's kind of blocking the goalpost. We'll let you know if it's good.
It is good as the soccer player Carlos Martinez adds on the point after attempt, and just like that, only 17 seconds into the game, the touchdown scored by number 17, Cedric Tarver, and the Bastrop Bears have an early lead. The Raiders with the opportunity to answer here coming up.
Well, the only good thing about giving up a touchdown that early is there's still a whole football game left to play. You've just spotted your opponent 7 points. So the Reagan Raiders just need to buckle down and work on the game plan that they prepared on all week and execute here offensively, take some of the momentum back away from the Bears.
Cedric Tarver, a junior receiver. We don't have height and weight, but he's a pretty good-sized target, and that seemed like an easy play for Desmond Young just to kind of lob it up and know that he's going to catch the jump ball.
He's an easy 6'3", and if I'm guessing weight-wise, it's about 210, 215 probably.
Yeah, he's probably going to be playing on Saturdays in the near future.
You would think so. Certainly looks the part. The Reagan Raiders have a few players that look the part, but you have to play as well. It's one thing to be the first guy off the bus because you look the part, but, you want to be the contributor as well.
I always wanted to be the first guy off the bus just to kind of be the intimidating factor.
Yeah, you always put the big guys there at the front.
Martinez will kick it away here on the ensuing kickoff.
Crowd's still filing in here at Bastrop Memorial.
The return here from Nate Clark. Clark takes it down the hash mark across the 25 to the 30 before he is dropped right on the 30, and the tackle made by Faison Madison. So 1st and 10 from their own 30s, where the Reagan Raiders will start their first drive of the evening, trailing 7-0.
Pretty decent return. You got to like the field position if you're the Raiders. You're not deep in your end zone here. You just got to execute and move the ball.
In the shotgun is Uriel Montelongo. Montelongo. Thank you very much. Montelongo in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his left, a single receiver to his right, and a man in the backfield. 1st and 10 from their own 30. Montelongo claps his hands to get the snap, but a flag comes in as the play clock hits 0, and a delay of game will be the first play for the Raiders.
And the misery continues here early for Reagan in their game here versus Bastrop, but really in their season here early. And there's still plenty of game here to turn it around. There's still plenty of season for the Raiders to turn it around. A lot of tradition there for these guys. They just need to continue to fight.
Montelongo will have a play action, decide to tuck it and run, and he is able to get away from one tackle, but he stays on the ankle and makes Montelongo held up at the 30. He gets back to the line. It's the
original line of scrimmage after
the delay of game. Yes, exactly. And that brings up 2nd and 15.
There's a good push from the defensive front for the Bastrop Bears, especially there in the middle, led by number 54, Greg Rivas, senior D lineman.
Montelongo in 2 receivers on both sides, offset pistol, and there's a mishap on the handoff as it was just barely held onto by Angus Christian before he was hit in the backfield for a loss back to the 22-yard line.
Probably not the read that Montelongo needed to make. He should have pulled that ball there. He had a little bit of an edge there to the left, and with his speed, he might have been able to pick up positive yards, even maybe 5-6 yards.
Yeah, a little bit of
indecisiveness. It's tough. It's going fast. The action is quick.
And here's a mistake on the shotgun
Ball's
snap.
On the ground.
And yeah, the loose ball's picked up there by Angus Christian, and he was able to even get a couple yards after picking up the ball, but he falls back for a loss of 2 to the 20, brings up 4th and 20, and the punting unit will have to come out for the Raiders.
Yeah, it could have been 4th and 23, 24 yards had he not picked that ball up, but you hope that you see the ball on the ground, the linemen are getting on it, and Reagan not quick to get on the ball until 13 was able to do so.
Cedric Tarver is the man back deep to receive this punt. Montelongo is down as the punter, but the officials communicate something with him. He almost jogged off the field. Now it looks like he'll be okay. So interesting having your quarterback as your punter as well. We're seeing those skill players getting the punter position for trick plays a little more often, but very rarely do you see the quarterback out there.
Not since the 80s and in the days of Danny White does the quarterback also double as the punter. But it happens a little more in high school.
Montelongo takes one step before punting it away, and
it was a nice
it's Tarver who fields the nice punt, and he gets it across the 45, angles towards the out of bounds, tiptoes along the sidelines, crossing the 35, and the flag is on the play, but it looks like it'll be around the 31 where
probably an illegal block.
Yeah, Tarver got out of bounds, and let's see what the flag is about.
Generally, that's a block in the back or a hold. And it looks like the back judge or the referee's backing up.
There was a block in the back, as you predicted, and that will go against the Bears and back up what was a return to around the 31-yard line from the spot of the foul, which was around the 39. They'll add on the penalty yardage.
So back to the midfield stripe, a little bit into Bastrop territory, looks like going to be the 49. Bastrop has a pretty sizable offensive line going across the front, minus maybe the center. But your center doesn't always have to be the biggest guy. He's got to be the smartest and have the best technique.
First and 10 for the Bears at their own 49-yard line, only 1 yard to cross and to get into the other side of the field. And a quick screen over to the right side is caught by Eddie Brown. And
that was a nice play in the flat by Manuel Ramos, number 9, for Reagan to keep that from getting into a decent gain for the Bears.
Only a gain of 1, and that brings up 2nd and 9. Actually, they'll give him 2, make it 2nd and 8. And here's a handoff to Brown. Brown will run around left end and collides helmet to helmet, looks like, at the
that was a good
47, 43, excuse me, is where they mark him down. And
Oscar Becerra came up and laid the wood. It looked like he had a first down. There was a lot of green there. The only thing about Becerra there on that tackle, he had his arms inside. You got to wrap up, too, because sometimes those guys will bounce off and break that tackle.
Young in the shotgun will hand it off, and just coming up short of the first down is
it's going to be real close. Nice play there by the defensive end, number 3, and that was Omarion Neal with the stop, and he does stop them short, 3rd and short.
They're going to go for it on 4th down, and keeping it will be Young. And he was hit at the yard to gain, and I think he was able to fight his way forward. He does. They give him the forward progress to the 39-yard line, enough for a Bears first down. The ball popped out there at the end of the play, but the play had already been blown dead.
And that right there was a scheme-gained first down because they just did it because they hurried up, and Reagan wasn't set and was unable to stop that short yardage gain.
Young in the shotgun. Zone read, handoff, and a run around right tackle from Cretin. He's able to pick up about half a yard to the 38.
So far early in this series, the Reagan defensive line has been able to kind of clog up the middle, make the running lanes tough to find.
2 receivers on both sides for Young, who drops back on a pass, lobs it up to the left side, and wide open, will go uncontested into the end zone is Cole Tidwell, and another touchdown through the air from Young. This time he connects with his receiver, the junior Cole Tidwell, and 6 more points on the board.
Well, the Bastrop Bears jumping on Reagan here early. Still plenty of time left, 7 minutes in the first period still.
Martinez will go for the point after attempt. Kicks that one through, and it's 14-0. Bastrop showing their athleticism that we touched on in the pregame show where, you know, like you were saying, the Raiders doing a really good job in the trenches, making sure that nothing really happens on the ground. But when it comes to passes in the air, that's a touchdown on 2 pretty similar plays for the most part.
Desmond Young has really, on just a couple, like you said, a couple of passes, made the Reagan secondary look pretty bad, and the receivers have gotten behind the defenders. And it's they're not like laser passes. He just floats it out there far enough for them to run under it, and then they have a step on the defender, able to catch it and bring it in for the score. Bastrop looking like they have a pretty solid squad heading into 13-5A Division II play. Reagan looks like they still have some work to do here early before district starts up, and that's why you have these pre-district matchups is try to fine-tune your attack, especially offensively. Defenses are generally ahead of offenses this time of year, and it's still early enough in the year that everybody's got the positive vibe. You know, you may be 1-0 or 0-1, but you still feel like you're about to run the rest of the table regardless. So
plenty of season left, plenty of football game left here. 7:18 left in the first quarter, and it will be Martinez kicking it away again. He takes a short kick, and it's an onside kick, and one of the upmen is down when he had it, but Bastrop picks up the loose ball, and I think the officials want to talk this one over. I think one blew it dead before Bastrop picked it up. Nope, they won't. If Bastrop picks up the –
Nathan Blair there, Johnny on the spot, getting the loose ball, carrying it out to his sideline as a trophy.
Yeah, the big man up front did not have total possession of it when he was touched down, and then it was slipped underneath him. And Nathan Blair, as you said, comes up, picks up the ball, and a short field from the Raider 45 is where the Bears offense comes back out after just scoring a touchdown.
You get one more score, and you'll likely see the Bastrop Bears coaches start working in some of their younger players, get them some experience here on the varsity level, pre-district play.
Two receivers on both sides, Young in the shotgun, and a handoff and a fumble. The ball's on the ground, and it was scooped up for a moment by Angus Christian, but then it was picked up again by a Bear, and the Bears retain possession and lose a couple yards.
Jude Dennis, the center, we mentioned him as being one of the smaller linemen on that starting group, but alertly jumps on the loose ball. Angus tried to pick it up and go. He was thinking scoop and score there, and he might have been able to do it, but he couldn't find the handle. It went back onto the carpet. Dennis was there to recover.
Yeah, Cole Tidwell with the fumble, and now the backfield emptied out. Man goes in motion. That's Jones, and Jones gets it on an end around. He's able to evade a couple tackles, and then he is hit at the initial line of scrimmage and then falls down.
In the backfield there Angus was back there Angus Christian was back there to make a play and got blocked in the back.
Matt Holding will take away the 4-yard gain and back the Bears up. Will replay second down.
Jones really displays a lot of speed on that jet sweep. It's advantageous, but it was a good job by Angus Christian to get there, and he likely would have made the tackle, but he did get pushed in the back, and it can affect your balance and your ability to make the stop there.
So
it's going to be back into Bastrop territory there.
Yeah, it looks like the Bears will have to deal with it at their own 48-yard line. So Young in the shotgun will drop back for a pass. Scans and decides to tuck it and run. He'll angle for the sideline and be pushed out of bounds near the original line of scrimmage.
It was a great gain, good alert play by Young. He saw the pocket collapse pretty early, saw a running lane. He took advantage of it and was able to pick up a good 8 yards.
Clock stops as he runs out of bounds at 6:17 here in the first quarter. Bears with a 14-0 lead, looking to build on that as
Reagan defense has a chance to get off the field here, though. It's 3rd and 12.
2 men in the backfield for Young. He drops back for a pass, fires it over to the big man Cedric Tarver. Tarver's able to spin away from his initial hit and then pick up the first down and hits the floor at the 30-yard line.
And that's a heartbreaker if you're the Reagan defense, because you had a chance to get off the field there, and a second chance when he made the catch right at the yard marker, unable to bring him down.
A handoff for Critton, and he is brought down in the crowded backfield for a loss back to the 32-yard line.
I didn't get the number of that tackler. I believe that was the free safety coming up to make a play, down, coming downfield. That's number 13, and that is Angus Christian.
Young will drop back and float one up to the
same
receiver, Tarver, and Tarver scores the touchdown. It's like they want to practice other plays, but they could probably just keep going with that one all night long.
Yeah, it's a tough thing there, but the Reagan defense is going to have to adjust. They're going to have to give that corner some assistance, either from the free safety or bringing the strong safety over to the side of the formation that Tarver is on, because one-on-one, Tarver's going to beat most defenders.
And now a new kicker coming in for his chance, Diego Cruz. His point after attempt through the uprights and good. And 5:21 left in the first quarter, and it's all Bastrop, 21-0. And, Reagan at the same time, they understand that they're probably going to have some things to deal with because they might run into their teams. So opportunity to work on some things here as they go along throughout this game.
Well, and as we mentioned, this is pre-district, and so you use it to tune up for district. If you're looking at the districts for each of these teams, the Reagan team probably has a little bit easier district run. They're looking at Dripping Springs, LBJ, McCallum, went pretty deep, although I think they lost on Friday of last week. Seguin, Crockett, Lanier, and Travis. I mean, those are teams, at least the bottom half of those teams are teams Reagan can compete with. Bastrop, however, is looking at Brenham, although they lost to Magnolia West 62-21 in week 1. They have Eastview, who lost to Westwood. Of course, Bastrop beat Rudder. Elgin got beat by Manor. They have Marble Falls, Glen, Cedar Creek, and Weiss. So some of those teams should be a pretty easy game for this Bastrop team, although there are some there that it's going to be very competitive football in this district for Bastrop. But they look like they have a formidable team bringing if they can keep their kids healthy and all the grades up, then and they bring this squad, they can compete with just about anybody, it looks like.
Diego Cruz will kick it away. This one a line drive that takes a bounce and goes past Nate Clark and into the end zone for a touchback. And Clark, for a second, I thought it might have hit his shin, glanced off a part of him, but the officials will allow the touchback to happen. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 25.
Well, and that was a tough kick to field. If you're, any kick is a tough kick to field on a kickoff or a punt, but when it's coming at kind of low like that, it is very difficult, and he wisely let it get into the end zone and out of play.
5:21 left here in the first quarter. It's the Bears 21, Raiders nothing. Montelago comes back out as quarterback for the Raiders. He's in the shotgun with Angus Christian to his right. He'll drop back and throw a screen to the right side. It's completed, and a couple of yards picked up on the play by Vontae Harper.
Well, it's a positive gain, first of all.
It's 1 yard. I beg your pardon. I said a couple, but
it's still a positive gain. Last couple of series, they've been going the wrong direction, and Reagan just needs to start somewhere and build from there.
2nd and 9. Montelongo with the offset pistol. Sends a man in motion. That's Nate Clark. Hands off to Angus Christian. And Christian is hit in the backfield immediately. Man going uncontested into the tackle is Tyron Smith.
And he smelt that play out before the ball was snapped and was almost there in time to take the handoff.
But an offsides is called on Bastrop, so perhaps
Probably
that was the reason.
On him.
Yeah, like I said, he went in uncontested, and it surprised me how quick he got into the backfield. So we'll replay 2nd down, and the Raiders will get the ball to the 31.
Looking for their first down here. They only need 4 yards here. Got a couple plays to try to get it.
Montelago with 2 receivers on both sides, drops back for a pass. He's under pressure. He's going to roll out to the left, looks for a play. He lobs it towards the sideline. Nobody in the area, just had to get rid of it, and will bring up 3rd down.
Very difficult throw for a right-hander going to your left. You have to spin your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage before you throw, and that's even that much harder when you're being chased down by the Bastrop defensive line, and that pressure started early in that play.
Clock stops at 4:25, 3rd and 4. Raiders at their own 31. Trips to the right. Single receiver isolated wide to the left. And it looks like a false start as the snap count was not on the same page with one half of the Raiders.
I think that was something you might want to blame on the center there, number 61 to Anthony Moore. Sometimes the center will, your hand gets sweaty and your hand will slide on the ball and it'll be kind of an illegal snap, if you will, and it throws the timing and everybody looks like they jumped and you didn't, and that's kind of what happened there and cost them 5 yards. Now it's 3rd and 9. Will they get that first down?
3rd and 9. Montalongo will try the same play. He has Angus Christian in the backfield. He drops back for a pass, fires a spiral down the left side. It's intercepted, and coming up with the INT is Faison Madison.
Nice job by Madison to break on that play. He wasn't the primary coverage there. The primary coverage was tight on the receiver, and he was able to break in front of the receiver and defender and catch the ball at its highest point. He almost jumped so high that he didn't have any balance when he landed, because otherwise he could have probably picked up 15, 20 more yards.
There is a flag on the play. I imagine that's against the Raiders. But
it could be roughing the passer, though.
It's a holding.
Against Raiders.
Yeah, against Reagan. And
it's right there at the line of scrimmage, so, yeah, that's typically a hold. Now, it looks like they may be – they haven't moved the box or the chains yet.
Yeah, I assume in that case the penalty is declined and the result of the play is the interception.
You would assume so, but unless there's an offsetting penalty, that's what I was worried about, because you couldn't really hear the referee's microphone to get the call. Because you see the box still hasn't moved. It's over at the 28 over here, as if there were offsetting penalties.
Are they tacking on the holding penalty
They
to the end of
must
the
be.
interception?
That is what happened.
Yeah.
Interesting. It must have happened sometime right at the interception or right after, which is odd because when you're suddenly on defense at that point.
Yeah, 1st and 10, it's a handoff and a runoff left guard for Critton as he picks up a couple to the 39-yard line.
Junior Javon Hodges there on the stop for the Reagan Raiders, minimizing that gain to 2.
Brings up 2nd and 8. Bears at the Raiders' 39-yard line. Young will drop back for a pass, scans to his left under pressure. He rolls out to the left, looks for a receiver and decides to tuck it and run. He gets out of bounds, maybe picks up half a yard to the 38.
O'Marion Neal there quickly to cut off the sideline angle for Young, prevent any gain, really more than a yard. 3rd down and long. Reagan defense starting to step up a little bit. They got, just a smidge of rest in that last Reagan series. They still didn't convert a first down, but, you've got to offensively possess the ball enough time to give your defense some rest.
They're doing a good job pressuring the backfield and clogging up the trenches, though, as here it is 3rd and 7, a lob down the left sideline, and it is caught inside the 10. A great catch made by Nathan Blair, and a first down picked up by the Bears.
For the first time, someone other than number 17 for Bastrop, Cedric Tarver, getting a deep pass thrown their way.
Yeah, I think they were maybe looking for Tarver on the play before, but instead now it'll be 1st and goal from the 9. Young will drop back, has time to scan as he rolls over to the right, looking for somebody in the end zone. Evades one tackle, he'll tuck it and run. Hurdles a defender, dives for the end zone, and I believe the official will mark him down at the 1. He does, but an athletic play coming from Desmond Young.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. He looked like he was in track, jumping the high hurdles, the 110 high hurdles there.
2nd and goal from the 1 now, and if I'm Young, I'm selfish and I just go ahead and finish the job.
Well, you don't want to waste the opportunity here. You have a 3-score lead, but you want to continue to build the momentum of your offense.
Young in the shotgun, Critton to his right. He hands it off to Critton. Critton follows a blocker. Looks like he is stopped at the 1, but he is able to stretch the ball out for a touchdown. And 6 more points for the Bears. Puts them up 27-0.
Yeah, the Bastrop Bears are just eating up the Reagan secondary, and they're not doing it on a regular basis every play. They're just doing it periodically. Run, throw it downfield. And the athletic receivers are able to get there and get under it for Bastrop.
Carlos Martinez will go for the point after attempt. And it's up and through. 28-0 is the score. The Bastrop Bears lead the Reagan Raiders, and some encouraging signs there for the Raiders despite the interception. A short field worked with for the Bears. They had them on 3rd and 7, and, the defense has tightened up a little bit. That play that made it 1st and goal from the 9, the safety came over and the corner was with them stride for stride. It was just a great catch made by Nathan Blair, and then what a great play it was to get to the 1-yard line by Desmond Young. We'll have that in the highlight reel later.
And it may be 28-0 here, but the Raiders are not that far off on any given play from making the plays they need to compete here tonight. There's a missed tackle here or a penalty there that kills a drive and what little momentum they may have gained. And it's really hurt them here. And Bastrop has taken advantage of every opportunity that they've had.
2:36 left here in the first quarter. The Raiders ready to return another kickoff. Carlos Martinez readies his teammates. The Bears will only have a 5-yard charge, and this one sent high end over end, taken by Nate Kark, and Kark runs down the numbers on the left side, is able to get to the 30-yard line, and that's where the Raiders will start their drive. 1st and 10 for Reagan at their own 30.
That's a new rule on kickoffs, right? They can only line up 5 yards behind the kicker before they can't start off 10 yards because it's such a it's a safety issue.
Yes, I believe that's right, but the kicker can take as much of a charge as he wants.
Sure, he's also not running down there full speed, making most of the tackles.
That's true. He's a soccer player. He needs to save his body for later on another sport.
Well, and they may need him to kick a long field goal late, so you don't want him to get a high ankle sprain running downfield making a tackle.
Montalago takes a high snap and immediately gets rid of it. It's caught and then spinning away, running out of bounds, picking up the first down a little bit more is Vontae Harper. And Harper showing some positive signs on the quick action there by the Reagan Raiders.
That's their first down here in tonight's game. 2 minutes left in the first period. But like I said, you just want to build on what positives you have and try to grow that here as you go into your next game.
Montalongo in the shotgun, hands it off to Angus Christian. Flags fly in, and
the pre-snap fouls, false start.
Yeah, that's usually what it is when they stop the play. Yeah, false start will back them up 5 yards.
Sounds like there it goes. I said sounds like the ref's mic wasn't working, but then I heard it there, just not very loud.
They need to change the yard marker. It's 1st and 15 now. The ball back to the Raiders' 39-yard line.
Yeah, kind of put yourself behind the sticks here. 1st and 15. Now you've got to get about 5 yards per play here to keep this drive alive.
2 men in the backfield with Montalongo. Zone read, hands it off to Christian, and Christian gets 1 yard on the run to the left as he gets to the 40-yard line, taking around his left tackle.
Yeah, number 82, Zevon Burnett there for the Bastrop Bears, able to clog up that hole. Quite a few Bears there on the stop. Burnett leading the way, coming down from the left end.
timeout here from the Reagan sideline is not being awarded to him. I saw the signal for it. Instead, Montalongo will take a bobbled shotgun snap. He rolls out to his right under pressure, and he'll try and get a throw off, but instead it hits the turf before it is bouncing past the intended receiver.
Yeah, he saw a receiver there, and then he saw two Bastrop defenders bracketing him basically and decided to just throw it in the dirt, which is probably a smart play.
Yeah, Victor Mitchell was there in the area, but instead, like you said, the smart play probably results in 3rd and 14.
Yeah, the Bastrop Bears able to get pressure here early on Montalongo, forcing his hand quickly, not allowing him to make much of a read.
Play clock is down to 2. Montalongo will get the play off, and he gets rid of the ball quickly, but diving and just missing an interception opportunity was the Bears' defensive back, Alex Crotch.
Yeah, that was just an inaccurate pass. I don't think he was intentionally trying to throw the ball away. He almost did throw it to the opponent, though, and fortunately for Reagan, they're going to get an opportunity to punt it away here instead of giving Bastrop the ball right at midfield.
Alex Crouch, who just lost the interception opportunity, will be back deep to receive this punt. Montalongo will kick it away on 4th and 14, and a false start will be called against the Raiders, backing them up 5 more yards.
Well, you know, Montalongo has a pretty good leg, as evidenced by his first punt, but I don't think you're adding 5 yards here so you can get the coffin corner kick in. You know, that's a 70-yard kick at this point, or 70-plus yard kick.
Yeah, Michael Dixon is not in that roster. A minute 20 left here in the first quarter, and the lights shining on Bastrop Memorial Field. Here for Thursday Night Football, happy you tuned in to SHN Sports. Crouch back deep to receive this punt. Montalongo will have to field it on a bounce. It gets past him. He's going to still try and get it off. Amazing job just to get it off. It takes a bounce in front of the 40-yard line and a Raiders roll to the 42, but this one doesn't get across midfield before it is downed. And Montalongo really did an amazing job just making sure that he wasn't giving his defense only about 18 yards to work with.
Yeah, he kind of had to bail himself out there. But the snap was a little bit high, but it wasn't over his head. It kind of caught him a little bit by surprise and got through his hands past his helmet. He was able to make an athletic play and you know, turn the punt into some positive yardage, but certainly nowhere near flipping the field, and Bastrop even better off than they would have been with that interception the play before.
59 ticks left in the first quarter. Young will get a quick pass out to Piper, and Piper, heading for the sideline, rolls out at the 40 for a gain of 2. That's hard work for 2 yards, but the Bears bring up 2nd and 8.
As good job by the Reagan defense to get over there and make a play as soon as the pass was released by number 11, Desmond Young.
Young in the shotgun will hand it off to Brown. He runs up the middle, and he lowers his shoulder at the 35 and is able to get down to the 34-yard line for a pickup of about 7 yards, brings up 3rd and 2.
Credit Curtis Johnson for finishing that tackle. There was another Reagan Raider that had slowed up the Bastrop Bear running back, but number 75, Curtis Johnson, getting to come in and clean that up. It's 3rd down. We have a timeout. Oh,
it's the end of the first quarter, and the Bears lead the Raiders 28-0, and they got this one started right away, scoring on the first play from scrimmage. And honestly, it seems like that play where they can just lob it up to one of the receivers towards the area where a safety should be is going to be something in their playbook almost all season long, but especially tonight.
Well, I guarantee you there are teams all over District 13-5A that are going to be looking at the film from this game and making the requisite accommodations in their secondary to ensure that they don't find themselves in single coverage against Cedric Tarver this season in district play, because he will make you pay. We're going to flip the field here.
I'd like to take a moment to let you guys know that tonight's broadcast is sponsored by Georgetown Jewelry. Austin ISD Thursday Night Football is brought to you in part by Ricky Poe, owner of Georgetown Jewelry. Georgetown Jewelry specializes in custom jewelry, bridal, watches, repairs, appraisals, and are buyers of gold, silver, coins, and more. Georgetown Jewelry since 2013. Drop by the Williamsburg Village Shopping Center in Georgetown or visit them online at georgetownjewelry.com. Start of the second quarter, Karl Schoening along with Chuck Kracy here at Bastrop Memorial Stadium in Bastrop, Texas. Happy you tuned into the Austin ISD Game of the Week. And 3rd and 2, it'll be a keeper from Young. He evades one tackle, picks up the first down, runs wide to the right across the 20, the 15-10, tiptoes along the sideline, stays in bounds, and gets across the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, the line judge, Young's so fast, the line judge couldn't run with him. So he never did get down and make the signal, but he was certainly in, tippy-toeing right down the sideline for the 5th touchdown for the Bastrop Bears tonight.
34-0 the score before the point after attempt.
You know, in week 1 against Rudder, Young had a 11-yard touchdown run, a 50-yard touchdown pass to Tarver. Looks like they went for 2 there.
No, it was actually a blocked point after attempt from Diego Cruz, and the ball chased down in the end zone, and the score remains 34-0 here as we are just moments into the second quarter. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was 5 of 11 for 160 yards with a TD and an interception, but he's doubled that yardage, it looks like, here tonight, and has himself 1 rushing touchdown and 3 passing touchdowns. So kind of a coming out party here for Desmond Young.
Pad your stats, young man.
Yeah, well, you know, that'll get you in the Austin American Statesman, that's for sure. You may get him a game ball for the week. And
we'll see how long Bastrop elects to keep him in the game, because as we spoke about earlier, he had to leave last week with cramps, and you know, that's something you see very commonly in the first week of the season. Players just not quite hydrated appropriately for the extreme activity of a 3-hour game.
Well, and you know, the schools do everything they can. They put up charts with different shades of yellow to instruct the kids. You know, are you hydrated? Are you not? And they even sometimes have hydration tests. And, you know, despite all that, it's still, you come out here in the heat in early September, late August in Texas, and it's brutal. And you go and you push a kid that's 240 pounds around all game long, you're going to get tired. You're going to get dehydrated.
Cruz will kick this one away, end over end. It is taken by Oscar Becerra, and Becerra stays on his feet after being hit once, but only picks up about another yard before he's closed in on at the 21-yard line. That's where the Raiders will start their first drive of the second quarter.
Good coverage there by the Bastrop Bear kickoff team. Nice athletic play by, who was that, number 9? Or was it 6? Was it Moore or Ramos? It doesn't matter. Great job by the Bastrop Bears on the coverage. Let's see if Reagan can answer.
Reagan picked up some momentum on that drive before the interception. Montalongo in the shotgun, Christian to his right. Whistles come in here, and a timeout on the field called by the Reagan Raiders.
Yeah, they want to make sure they have the right play called here, because they're deep enough in their own territory that a mistake here, as bad as the score is, it can get worse as there's still 11 minutes left here in the first half. And so, last thing you want to do is make a bad read here or commit a pre-snap foul, and push yourself backwards. They could have been out of formation. There's a myriad of reasons why that timeout could have been called, but it looks like it's strategic because they're taking full advantage of the whole time. It obviously wasn't some kind of formation pre-snap foul that the coach saw and tried to avoid. This game is really shaking out about how I expected. Bastrop looking a little better than advertised even.
Yeah, Bastrop currently with a 34-0 lead. The only missed opportunity they had was on the previous point after attempt. 1st and 10 for Montelongo and the Raiders. They're at their own 21, and Montelongo will drop back, gives a shoulder fake, and now under pressure he rolls out to the right, and he'll try and maybe connect with a receiver, but it goes out of bounds as it was intended for Vontae Harper. That brings up 2nd down.
Harper was there, and, Montelongo is running for his life at times here, and he just looking to get rid of the ball before he gave up yardage.
Clock stops at 11:33 here in the 2nd quarter. Montelongo will direct traffic and set up 3 receivers on the right, a single receiver on the left. Christian in the backfield with him. He drops back for a pass and overthrows his intended receiver. A little bit of miscommunication there as he was trying to find Oscar Becerra. And Becerra kind of went inside when I think he was meant to keep rolling towards the end zone.
It's either that or Montelongo made the wrong read on the defender there. It did look like the receiver should have broke outside as the defender stayed to his inside. But Montelongo's pass, it didn't have much confidence behind it.
2 receivers on both sides, 3rd and 10. Montelongo in an offset pistol with Christian behind him. Hands it off to Christian. Christian runs up the middle, and he is devoured at the line of scrimmage. Maybe give him half a yard, and 4th down coming up.
Yeah, that linebacker core for the Bastrop Bears led by Tyron Smith. They're able to make tackles between, the receivers easily tonight against this Reagan offense. Both teams are running an RPO, pistol-based zone, spread kind of offense, and it's not an easy offense, especially for quarterbacks. And you see Montelongo struggling at times, and mostly that's because of the aggressiveness and the speed with which the Bastrop Bears defense is playing.
Whistles will stop this play before it starts. Flags come flying in, even all the way from the backfield, and it was a delay of game. So once again, on a punt, 5 yards will be cost to Montelongo, who has to punt it away, and makes this punt even more difficult than the last one, which, if you remember, he also had a little trouble getting the snap in his hands.
Kind of a short snap. Montelongo able to pick that up. Fielded by the Bears at midfield, number 7.
Crouch there.
Crouch. He returns it into Reagan territory right around the 36 on the Bastrop sideline. A little bit of shenanigans going on there after the play. Typical of a play ending where all of the players are on one side of the field. Broken up quickly, and it will be Bastrop football again, looking to add to a significant lead here over the Reagan Raiders out of Austin. Reagan has a lot of tradition at the school, 3 state championships. They've made the playoffs in recent years, but they've had a kind of a bad run for the last 3. And they hired a new coach, and he took over in June, which is kind of a short timetable to get ready for an August game.
A rollout to the left here from Young on 1st and 10 from the Raiders 35. He's able to find some blocking towards the left side and runs out of bounds near the 15. Give him the 14 for a huge gain from the 35. A 21-yard pickup with his feet this time for the Bears quarterback Young.
He just looks comfortable with the ball in his hands. He's making good reads and good decisions. His passes aren't the crispest passes, but when you have big receivers like he has, that are able to get behind the defenders. You just have to air it out.
And he can really move on his feet, too, as he's shown. Young in the shotgun, drops back, lobs this one in the end zone, and it is Tarver coming down with it for his third touchdown of the ball game. The Bears take a 40-0 lead, 10:02 left in the second quarter.
Tarver with a hat trick, and we're still in the first half here. Does he think he's Gretzky or something?
He certainly has looked the part, as we were talking about. He might be one of the first guys off the bus, and he has played up to that and shown that he can get into the end zone.
He certainly looks like he's, at least tonight, playing on a level that's above anything that Reagan defense has been able to throw at the Bastrop offense. And it is quite a weapon to have at your disposal if you're Bastrop head coach Todd Patton.
Yeah, the point after attempt is good for Carlos Martinez, and Bastrop takes a 41-0 lead over the Reagan Raiders. 10:02 left here in the second quarter, and at this point, we were talking about it. At what point do you think the Bears maybe start to show some of their substitutions?
I would say here pretty quickly. I would probably, typically in a game like this, you might see it in the second half. But, I'd probably look at 5 minutes left in this half, get some guys in, see how they do before you bring them out in the second half. Maybe they continue to build the lead. And you find out you have an embarrassment of riches and depth that you were unaware of. Because some kids, they don't practice so well, but you put them in a game environment and they shine. So, sometimes it's not even from a lack of working hard. It's just practice is a different animal than a game. And some kids just have this knack of turning it on when it's game time.
Yeah, I had a coach who used to say that we were gamers, but I think that was just his way of smiling while we were messing around in practice. The kickoff here from Martinez will be end over end and fielded by Nate Clark, and Clark able to get across the 30 before it's brought down at the 31-yard line, and the clock at 9:54. There's lightning in the distance.
As long as that lightning detector doesn't go off, we're good.
Oh, they have a detector, huh? Is that how it works?
I think it's pretty standard on the new stadiums. I don't know for 100% sure, but most of them, especially ones built in the last 10 years, are generally equipped with that. It is extra, but it's a lot cheaper than the potential lawsuit if you don't cover your bases as a district.
Yeah, well, it is in the distance for now. We'll keep you updated. It is the officials stopping this play before it gets off. I believe another Raiders timeout here before they start this drive. Back-to-back times where on 1st and 10, before a snap from scrimmage on the drive, they decide to call timeout. I don't believe the play clock was down. It looks like the play clock was reset to 25 seconds before we had a chance to glimpse over. But
honestly, that's indicative of just starting a football program, and I realize Reagan's not starting from scratch, but when you bring in a coach a month and a half before the season starts, and all of your returning starters that are on this roster were sophomores last year, you've got some things to do before you can really be successful. And the key for Reagan is going to be to continue to push through these rough patches and build on what successes they do have.
Following the timeout, 1st and 10, ball on their own 31-yard line. Montalongo in the shotgun. Actually, it was a direct snap to Christian this time, so Angus Christian was going to play the role of quarterback, but flags come in, and that'll be a false start, backing them up 5 yards.
And that's just the way things are going, the way the ball has bounced for Reagan, not only tonight, but in their first game against Cedar Creek out here in Bastrop ISD. And so tough road ahead for Reagan Raider football fans.
Angus Christian will take a direct snap, and he'll run around his right tackle, pick up yards, about 7 of them, all the way to the 33-yard line. So I think that's some positive momentum there as he gained back the penalty yardage and picked up a couple more. The man who's at running back comes in and just takes a direct snap and runs himself.
Little wildcat action. It's a quick hitter. You realize the Bastrop defense has been going full-blown, and maybe they're dialing it back. You get a 41-point lead, you kind of gear down a little bit, and that's when Reagan's really going to have to take advantage here.
Trips left, Harper to the right, and Angus Christian will run the same play again and have a pretty positive. Yeah, he's pretty close to the yard to gain. The official will say that he's maybe half a yard short. Now he says motions the chain gang to give them the first down. So 1st and 10 here for the Raiders. The ball at the 40-yard line. Call it the 41.
And here it is. That's a first down. Build on that first down.
Interesting change of game plan as they have brought in Angus Christian as the quarterback, and he'll hand it off to the man in the backfield. And this time the handoff is not as effective to Chris Perez, and he is brought down back at the 40 for a loss of 1.
Number 13 for Reagan is likely their backup quarterback, Angus Christian. Sometimes you just don't have depth at a position like quarterback, and you have to find your best athletes on the field and try to consider moving them there. I know Leander's got a little trouble in depth at the position of quarterback, and they use one of their running backs sometimes under center. So it's something that teams will tinker with and try. It's not something that you use on a regular basis, but you never know. If you don't have a primary backup who is prepared, then that can cost you a game, and in many cases, costing you a game may end up costing you a season. Fortunately, this is non-district for both of these teams, but again, I don't want to overstate that. Reagan appears to be in a little bit of trouble here with their football program, but again, they are basically starting from scratch here with a new staff. The head coach hired in June, and they brought on Mike Adams, a former UT wide receiver, as an assistant in July, just a few weeks before Game 1.
It'll be another Angus Christian run to the right, and he is able to pick up 4 yards to the 43-yard line. And, yeah, like you were saying, it's maybe a matter of who's the athlete here that will best represent what we eventually recognize as our identity. And one of the reasons Tim Tebow was so effective was because he was such an effective runner off of that direct snap to him. And he probably could have played running back the way he played the game, but
probably should have played tight end as a professional, and probably could still be playing had he made a go at it. Maybe not, but he's certainly the kind of guy that would work hard enough to be successful.
Christian tries to run to the left this time, and he is brought down for a loss. A great job tracking him down done by Simeon Thompson. And that ball will be marked all the way to the 35 for a loss of about 8.
Yeah, it looks like we'll probably see another punt here from Reagan. They brought in Montalongo may be nicked up because they brought in another kicker. Looks like it's going to be 25, Damian Piper.
So Piper will punt this one away. Crouch will be back deep to receive, but this one goes off the edge of Piper's foot, and 52. It is picked up, and running down the left sideline is a Bear, and he gets into the end zone.
Big boy score.
Yeah, Robert Spurlock coming up with the touchdown after the punt goes off the side of the foot of Piper, and with 6:48 to play, the Bears tack on 6 more points.
That's going to need to make the highlight reel there. Anytime there's a big boy touchdown, linemen like me have a little bit of joy in our heart.
Yeah, he certainly saw his opportunity, and there was no one stopping him from getting into the end zone.
Well, and we had mentioned Montalongo didn't come out to punt, and he fired off quite a few good punts, and maybe he's got cramps, who knows, but unable to get out there. And so they bring in, I suppose, their backup punter. May not get a whole lot of work, and certainly probably hasn't kicked in any game situations before tonight. And, the thing about football is crazy things can happen between those sidelines when the lights are on. And we saw a little bit of that with number 52. And it wasn't a block or anything like that. It just came off his foot at a funny angle. Looked like it might have caught up in a little bit of wind and died quickly. Picked up by number 52, Spurlock, and he'll remember that for the rest of his life. He'll tell his grandkids about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, he might even add in a little bit as he gets to his grandkids that he blocked the punt on top of it. So he plays both ends of the line, and that's it. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that was his first touchdown of the season. As
maybe his career beyond, at least in high school. He might have been a peewee touchdown scorer, but we don't know. But I think you're safe to bet that it's likely his first high school touchdown.
Hey, and like you said, he'll probably remember it his whole life. And with 6:48 to play in the second quarter, Bastrop up 48-0.
He'll have some Al Bundy type stories for those of you who are old enough to remember that television show.
I'm certainly not.
Oh, of course not. We've had numerous conversations where I mentioned things that were well before your time. So that's okay, though. It happens to the best of us. We continue to age, and technology continues to progress. The great thing is even with technology progressing and stadiums getting better and equipment getting better, the sport of football has not changed significantly in many years, and it brings great joy to myself, but many other individuals here in the state of Texas. It is a pastime that is awaited year-round, and when it arrives in the fall, it never stays long enough. And even if you're at a 48-0 game in the first half, the thing to remember is you're still watching football.
Exactly. And sometimes you watch football and not know who the other players are, such as number 19 for the Reagan Raiders, who is not on our roster.
That's always a fun one.
He is back deep to receive.
Likely a JV player from last week getting the call up.
Angus Christian calls for a fair catch and makes it over his shoulder at the 25, maybe the 26-yard line, depending on the spot. And that is where the Raiders will start off this drive of the second half with 6:46 left in the first half.
Yeah, still in the second quarter.
Second quarter, I beg your pardon.
Close enough. It seemed like a half. That's because it's been a lot of offense from the Bastrop Bears. And
a lot of passing from both teams.
And Reagan is not helping themselves. They're not doing the little things that you must do to be successful. The plays will come if you can take care of the pre-snap fouls and the small things, the blocking and the tackling. And Coach Mustafa, like we said, he's been here a very short amount of time, certainly not enough time to implement any of your coaching strategies. He's kind of probably, and this is speculative, obviously, but he's probably just trying to do his best at this point. And he's got to rebuild a once very proud program. So it is a tall order. He's up for the task, I believe. And I think Reagan can come back to be close to what it was when it was winning national championships in the 50s and 60s? That
was again before my time. Yeah.
Before my time even. So, but, there's a lot of pride there in Reagan. And, they certainly have the talent available to them. A lot of those kids aren't coming out for football because Reagan hasn't been successful in years past. Coach Mustafa is going to turn that around, get those kids out for football, and I think you'll see some positive things from Reagan.
And here is a First and 10 play by Angus Christian as he runs wide to the right and gets to the 30-yard line. A flag on the play, but before that, Christian does a good job of recovering a low snap, and it looks like a hold in the backfield will bring that gain back.
And you know, you couldn't really tell that Reagan gained some advantage by that hold because Christian was running for his life as soon as the ball was snapped. And, you know, credit to the Bastrop defense because they've come to play tonight. They're here to defend their home field, and they're doing a bang-up job of doing that.
The ball placed on the 16-yard line, 1st and 20 now for the Raiders. Christian takes a high snap, hands it off, and Perez will try and find some room on the right side. He's hitting the backfield for a loss of about 3 yards to the 14-yard line. And
you know, in the battle of the trenches, Bastrop is just dominating this game. The Reagan defensive line had played well early at times, but when you're on the field constantly, it makes it a lot harder, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Clock under 6 minutes to play here in the second half, and a handoff up the middle and a scrum as the two sides of the trenches try to gang up on the ball, push for a couple extra yards. And
credit that Bastrop defense again. They of the 11 players on defense, 8 of them were in on that stop there. You know, that's got to please Brian Gaylor, the defensive coordinator for the Bears.
It was Oscar Becerra with the carry. And now the clock moving at 5:16 left to play in the second quarter. Christian hands it off and running forward and picking up yards across the 20-yard line.
Again, 11 gray helmets around the ball at the end of the play there.
Yeah, now that Montelongo's not in the game, they've really kept the ball on the ground, and I think that the Bears have picked up on that and elected to just try and see which direction the ball is going.
Yeah, they only have corners on the outsides, and even they're playing fairly tight. I've never really seen an 11 men in the box situation, but it's very, very similar to what I would imagine that looks like is what Bastrop is doing now.
Nobody back to receive this punt as it gets on the ground and then
55.
Taken down as a big hit in the backfield from Josie Aguirre. Brings down the man going for the punt. And
there's a penalty down, and I'm going to guess, and based on experience, that's Aguirre.
The pronunciation of the name?
Yes, it's unlike Mark Aguirre. It's spelled the same way, but around Central and South Texas, generally Aguirre.
Aguirre.
Yeah, and that's my best Spanish, so I can't do any better than that. But great play by Aguirre as he was there to make the stop, and really, if that penalty doesn't go against Bastrop, it's going to give them the ball deep in Reagan territory here with 4 minutes left in the half.
The officials talk this one over. Aguirre got the personal foul there, and
referee not sure where to mark the foul from, but you know what? It's early in the season for those guys too, you know.
Yeah, so I guess that's 15 yards tacked on from around the 4 or the 5. They'll give him from the 10, where I think the punt was supposed to be kicked away from, even though I think that the ball might have been down a little bit further away or a little closer to the Raiders' end zone. Instead,
automatic first down for Reagan, though.
Yeah. So, hey, there you go. Reagan.
Drive stays alive.
I didn't quite see the personal foul, but it's a situation in which the Raiders have a new 1st and 10. The ball at the 26-yard line.
You know, I'm not going to rag on the referees for making an early mistake here in the season. Is working the camera here. A couple of those deep passes, I'm a little late on the trying to keep up with Tarver.
And it's a direct snap to Christian. Christian runs wide to the right. He gets back to the original line of scrimmage as he forces the man holding the first down marker out of the way, and second down.
Poor Angus Christian. He's just taking a snap and kind of running for his life and looking for a soft spot. They don't really appear to have much in the game plan for him to be at quarterback beyond take the snap, middle, right, left at this point, and hope that you find a crease, because he certainly has the athleticism to break one.
He'll run behind a blocker to the right, find a little room across the 30, and be dropped at the 34-yard line for a solid gain of about 7 yards on second down. Brings up third and short.
There it is there, direct snap. I'm going right, and there's a soft spot there on the right. He's able to get it to third and short, something that Reagan should be able to convert here and try to keep the drive alive in the waning minutes of the first half.
Clock keeps moving at 3:33 left in the second quarter. Trips to the left, single receiver to the right. Angus Christian in the shotgun. He's going to follow a blocker again, run to the right. He's hit as he tries to go behind his right guard. And I
almost thought the ball was loose, but the initial contact there brought by number 10 for that's Xavier Williams for Bastrop. And Christian kind of didn't go down, and then there was a kind of a push. It looks like he's short of the first down as Williams able to stop him standing up there at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, the officials may be a little generous there on the forward progress, but still mark him about a yard short. And with 2:43 left, it's going to be a punting unit situation for the Raiders.
Hopefully they get this one off.
And they do not, as whistles stop this one before Ariel Garcia kicks it away.
And I'm just going out on a limb here, but I'm going to guess that Garcia is somebody who hasn't really punted the ball much because his form is that of somebody kind of guessing on how to do that. They get a penalty.
It was a false start that backs them up 5 yards, so I think that's the third false start.
Looks like they're going to bring in someone else to punt.
Yeah, new punter will come into the game. That'll be Manuel Ramos. Nobody back to receive this punt. Ramos puts his foot into it, sends
lefty
it high and short, and it takes a Raiders bounce at the 50-yard line and rolls to the 42.
Well, that's better than the last couple of punts for the Reagan Raiders. Certainly, Bastrop has shown that they can score quickly and anywhere and from anywhere on the field. So we'll see what they do here. I'd be surprised if they bring Young back in. It doesn't look like he is going to be the quarterback. They brought in a new kid, number 9.
Giles. Romello Flores Giles will take over 1st and 10 from their own 46-yard line, and it looks like a late substitution coming in for be a right tackle. Play clock down to 13, so play of time, but the ball does hit the turf, and it looked like Reagan jumped on top of it. So the officials pointing the direction of the Raiders. So the Raiders have their best field position of the evening. They get it at the Bears' 43-yard line off to the fumble of the snap from Flores Giles.
I hope Patman still continues to bring the young kids in. That lineman added late was a sophomore, and then they have a fumble right as soon as they get them out there. That can frustrate a coach and make you put your starters back in, but with this kind of lead, I bet we see those guys get another chance here. 2:02
left in the first half.
Reagan with another chance here. before halftime to get that goose egg off the scoreboard.
Angus Christian will actually line up as the running back, and the direct snap. The snap comes to Javon Hodges, and Hodges shows off his wheels with his first snap at quarterback. Gets to the 35, picks up about 8 yards.
Yeah, it looks like they've gone strictly Wildcat, and they're alternating which athlete is going to take the snap and run. This is 1920s single wing style football.
Trips left, single receiver wide to the right. Hodges in an offset pistol with Christian behind him. Hands it off to Christian. He's hit at the line of scrimmage. Spins away from the pressure. Tries to run outside to the left, but can't find any room before he is brought down on the tackle by Faison Madison.
And he broke at least 3 tackles on that run. Gained very little because the Bastrop defense, all 11 guys, flying to the ball. So when he breaks a tackle, as soon as he gathers himself, he's getting hit again by another Bastrop Bear defender. And that's why you hustle to the ball, because not every tackle's a guarantee. Plus, they may lose the handle of the ball, and then you might be the guy that gets to scoop and try to score.
3rd and 3, 2 receivers to both sides for Hodges, who runs wide left and gets it across the 30, picks up the first down, and forward progress marked at the 29-yard line, and the Raiders move the chains.
They're trying to put something together here with about 40 seconds. They don't have any timeouts left because they had to burn them a couple of times coming into a possession, which is frustrating for a coach because you want to have them available for this type of situation. But if you're having to burn them in the first quarter coming up from your sideline because people don't know how to line up or they don't know the play, that can be very frustrating. And, again, this is something time will resolve, and Mustafa will lead that into a more positive future for the Reagan Raiders.
10 seconds left, and here's the snap. A run to the left. This time taking the direct snap out of the Wildcat is Oscar Becerria, and he does a good job picking up 6 yards down to the 23-yard line, and the clock stopped at 3 seconds.
That was key, getting out of bounds, giving yourself one opportunity to try to get points on the board here. I mean, it's too long of a field goal attempt, but you can certainly try to throw it down to the corner of one of the end zones and have one of your guys go up and see if they can make a play. At the very least, get an interference call.
3 seconds left here, and a pass attempt goes well short of the intended receiver. The man throwing the ball there for the Raiders was Oscar Becerria, and that will be the end of the first half. So your score after 2 quarters complete: the Bastrop Bears leading the Reagan Raiders 48-0. We have a 28-minute halftime, and we will be back here on SHN Sports with the start of the second half. Until then, enjoy the bands from both teams.
Player of the week is Adela Morales. Now, watch as they perform a routine to Pontella bases hit, Rescue Me. Freshman of the week is Nadia Contreras. Soulmate of the week is Joanna Solano. Soulmate captain Eliza Zelaya. First lieutenant Elijah Hargrove. Second lieutenant Liana Velasquez. And now, Lovestone and Until the End of Time. Jackson. Soleil instructors, Miss Anicia Ware and Miss Jasmine Macedo. Double R instructor, Miss Jenna Rank. Sawyer Band would like to wish the Bastrop Band good luck at UIL competition this year. Bastrop High School Band. The band is under the direction of Kenneth Gilbert, Andrew Tuck, and Garnet Gilbert. The band is under the field direction of drum majors Jocelyn Enriquez and Riley Tamayo. The band's program includes their 2018 UL marching show, The Hive, featuring the music of Sting, Vaughn Williams, Lewinsky Korsakov, and the arrangements by Shane Kelby. Drum majors, is your band ready? And now for your halftime enjoyment, the Bastrop Bear Band.
Umbrella, listening to the soft patter of rain on just above your head. The Bastrop Bears started off a first play 60-yard touchdown and haven't looked back since. The Reagan Raiders, trying to find an identity as a team, have shifted through several players taking direct snaps in a wildcat variation for their offense, and the second half here proving to be will prove to be a little more adventurous. Will be the Bears kicking it away. Cruz sends a line drive. One of the upmen has to pick it up after he gets it back. That's Christian, and Angus Christian able to, after touching it, having it go through his hands, dive on it at around the 21-yard line, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Reagan.
That could have gone bad for Reagan. The ball ended up in no man's land over there after it went off of Christian's hand. So it was a good job and good hustle by him to get on that ball and not give it to Bastrop here early in the second half.
So 1st and 10 from their own 20 is where it is marked. The Reagan Raiders with their first possession of the second half. It'll be Angus Christian lined up as a running back, and a direct snap coming to the man in the backfield, and a good gain from Javon Hodges as he gets close to the first down marker. And yeah, they're going to move the chains as he gets across the 30 to the 35-yard line.
Well, you hope Coach Mustafa went in there and lifted his guys up and, told them, forget the scoreboard, go out there and be successful.
Javon Hodges will switch places with Christian Angus. Either one of them have been in the other's position tonight as the quarterback or running back. Hodges takes the snap this time, gets a block from Christian, and he is hit near the line of scrimmage and brought back to the 30-yard line.
Nothing there. The Bastrop defensive line and the linebackers there on the right side just clogged everything. Jose Aguirre there leading the charge from right in.
The forward progress marked to the 32-yard line, so only a loss of 2 on the play. 2nd and 12. Three receivers to the right, a single receiver to the left. And the direct snap to a new man in the backfield, now finding some room across the 20 to the 45, across midfield into Bears territory. A good carry there by Lamont Townsend. First time we're calling his name tonight, and he shows up with a big run to the Bears 48-yard line.
It was a good job there by Townsend. His number looks like 6, but it is a 5 the way that it crinkles up on his jersey there. He found the soft spot and was able to pick up first down yardage.
And we have a penalty that goes against both teams, I believe, offsetting penalties. Oh, the result of the play is the first down, and they're going to start the clock up again. And now it looks like it was against the Bears, so it's a personal foul that advances the ball 15 yards forward for the Raiders.
A little extracurricular activity going on. Likely a retaliation as Bastrop up big. But that's a lesson that can be taught by Patman to his team. Don't be the retaliator. They're the one that always gets caught.
Townsend takes the snap again, and this time he is laid out in the backfield for a loss of about 5 yards to the 32-yard line. But the official will mark it at the 30 after the initial forward progress, so only a loss of 3.
Difficult to get anything going when the Bastrop defensive line resets the line of scrimmage about a yard into your backfield almost every play.
Townsend will go ahead and get another opportunity here. He'll run on the draw to the right side, break away from one tackle, pick up yards across the 20 to the 15, and he is down at the 10-yard line, has the first down and more, and who knows?
Great effort.
Yeah, maybe Coach
found him a quarterback.
Yeah, Coach Mustafa might have found him an option, at least in the backfield, for some quick plays to catch other teams off guard.
Yeah, we don't have classifications here, so I'm not sure what grade level Townsend is, but he's certainly making a bid to get some playing time as the field general here for the Reagan offense.
Townsend in the shotgun. Javon Hodges will negotiate whether or not he is going to take the direct snap. The snap ends up on the turf and is picked up by Hodges. He's going to run left. Hodges gets a block across the 20 to the 15, back to the 10, and he's pushed out of bounds around the 10-yard line. That's where he stepped out, and it'll be second and goal from the 10.
Yeah, it was amazing that there was no net loss on that play, as Townsend had to run about 30 yards to get back to the line of scrimmage. Good effort.
Townsend in the shotgun. And Jalen Moore joins him in the backfield, and Townsend takes a high snap. He was going to follow the block of Moore, but a flag comes in, and it's a false start. Backs him up to the 15.
Yeah, look like the split end out there, number 88, Victor Mitchell, got off the ball a little quick. And he actually is a sophomore, and they do have the classifications here. Townsend is a senior. Second and goal from the 15.
Best opportunity the Raiders have had all night. 7:07 left to play in the third quarter. Townsend in the shotgun. Moves Moore over to his left. Trips to the right. On the draw, Townsend will run up the middle and get back to that 10-yard line, and even fought forward for half a yard to the 9.5. Brings up third and goal from the 9.
Great individual effort there from Townsend. There was nothing there, but he pushed the pile, kind of found a soft spot, was able to get about 3 or 4 yards. You need more than that down here, but you know, they are in field goal range here. If they don't convert, they can at least knock that goose egg off the scoreboard. Better than a field goal is better than getting shut out by any stretch.
Clock moving at 6:20 left in the third. Townsend with another draw play will try to go to the left side around his left tackle. He gets to the 8-yard line, and that'll bring up fourth and goal from the 8. And
here comes the kicker.
Yeah, we'll see what they elect to do here. This is the first time that they've had an opportunity to go for a field goal.
It's certainly not a chip shot at the high school level for most kickers, but it is about the closest thing he'll have besides an extra point distance. Looking at they're going to probably put the ball down around the 14, so probably around a 24, 25-yard attempt.
I believe it will be a 25-yard attempt for Ariel Garcia, and a timeout called by, I think, the Bastrop Bears, or excuse me, the Reagan Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders will be the ones who call the timeout. The Bears, where the Bears coaching staff very aggressively trying to get onto the team as
they don't want to give up the shutout, because regardless of who you're playing, that is a badge of honor to have a goose egg on your defensive resume moving forward. They were able to get up on top of Rudder 27-0 in their week 1 matchup by halftime, but in the second half, Rudder able to put together a couple of scores, that final 36-14. So Bastrop looking at a shutout here that may slip away if Reagan's able to get this kickoff. So we'll see what kind of block attempt is in place for Bastrop.
5:30 left here in the third quarter. Bears lead the Raiders 48-0. And it looks like the Raiders are going to try and set up this field goal attempt from the 15, which would make this a 25-yard attempt.
Townsend to hold.
And Garcia has a pretty good-looking field goal there as he kicks it through, and the shutout is no more. Reagan, on their first drive of the second half, not only eats up a lot of clock, but gets on the scoreboard for the first time this evening.
That's the first time this season for the Reagan Raiders.
That's right, yes.
Their first points of the year. So congratulations to Coach Mustafa. I know he probably wanted and hoped for a little more at this point in the season, but as we've mentioned a couple of times tonight, you got to look for the positives in what is otherwise kind of a messy situation and then build on that. And, he certainly did something at halftime to motivate the Reagan offense as they came out, essentially marched the length of the field, had a little bit of benefit of a penalty to get them down into Bastrop territory, but it's not like Bastrop hasn't had any favors given their way by Reagan tonight, as they've had plenty. So turnabout's fair play there, and so maybe Reagan continues to build on this.
The ensuing kickoff following the field goal will be coming up in moments as the Bastrop Bears wearing the rather slick gray uniforms with white numerals.
Charcoal gray at that. It's not like your typical light kind of gray. It's a nice dark gray. It looks good with the maroon.
Yeah, a lot of teams could probably wear that same pattern. It's a nice looking jersey, while as we talked about, the powder blue pants and white jerseys of the Reagan Raiders on the other side.
As a Cowboy fan growing up, there was still a part of me that it really enjoyed the Houston Oilers and the powder blue uniforms. And Reagan really does remind you of those teams of the Oilers, at least uniform-wise.
Garcia will kick this off, and the ball bounces around. It'll be picked up by Cedric Tarver, and Tarver takes it down across the 50 to the 40, and no one will catch him as he crosses the 20 and creates plenty of distance in for the return touchdown. One of the most unique returns you'll ever see, as that one bounced around, and Tarver didn't want any part of that play until he had to put himself into it.
And he showed his athleticism and speed there. The key there, though, really was the Reagan kick coverage team. When they saw the ball bouncing around, their eyes got big. They got out of their coverage lanes, and when Tarver was able to scoop it, all he had to do was get around that side, and he was gone.
The point after
it's
attempt.
His fourth of the night, right?
That is his fourth of the night. He had the first one and two more later on in the first half, and
3 receiving, 1 kick return.
No opportunity for Young to come out or the other players, and then just topping it right there was the kicker Diego Cruz, leaving our score at 54-3. 2:13 left in the third quarter, and the Bastrop Bears, after that special teams touchdown, have their lead up to 51 points.
And the coaching staff here at Bastrop has to be pleased with the scoreboard, but there are things that have occurred, like that missed field goal extra point attempt there, that Coach Patman will be able to work on in the coming weeks as they head into district play. There have been enough breakdowns that even though the score is 54-3, he'll be able to go into film tomorrow and be able to chew a little rear and motivate some guys going into their next game.
Austin ISD Thursday Night Football is brought to you in part by Ricky Poe, owner of the Georgetown Jewelry. Georgetown Jewelry specializes in custom jewelry, bridal, watches, repairs, appraisals, and are buyers of gold, silver, coins, and more. Georgetown Jewelry since 2013. Drop by the Williamsburg Village Shopping Center in Georgetown or visit them online at georgetownjewelry.com. 1 minute left here in the third quarter. The Bastrop Bears leading the Reagan Raiders, and after that special teams kick return for a touchdown by Cedric Tarver, the Bears will kick it away. It is taken on a nice move to the 30 and fighting forward to the 35-yard line. The Raiders will have their forward progress marked there at the 36 in their own territory, and a 1st and 10 with 33 seconds left here in the third quarter.
Just got to give Townsend a little bit of credit there. For the score to be where it is, Townsend has not given up on trying to build something positive here for the Reagan Raiders, as you saw in the last drive. And on that kick return, he had 3 tacklers, and he still was able to force his way for a couple more yards of field position.
10 seconds left here, 1st and 10. Play clock turned off, and
they got a bigger quarterback in.
Yeah, it looks like that will do it for the end of the third quarter. So the Raiders will not get a playoff. Will flip the sides of the fields, and at the end of 3 complete, the Bastrop Bears lead the Reagan Raiders 54-3.
Looks like they may be bringing in Jalen Moore at the quarterback position, number 6. Not sure if Townsend got nicked up on that kick return. Certainly put in the effort to set up this potential drive here for the Reagan Raiders here as we head into the fourth period. They've scored their first points of the season. Now they're looking to get their first touchdown. So let's see if they can get that here late in tonight's ball game. Bastrop, of course, had a shutout, pitching a shutout. Reagan able to break that up, but Bastrop will now try not to give up a touchdown here in this game. Gave up 2 late, as we mentioned, against Rudder last week.
It will be Moore lined up in the backfield along with Chris Perez. So Moore will take the high snap and run it up the middle following the block of Perez. Gets yards across the 40 to the left numbers, and he is brought down at the 42-yard line. A gain of about 7 yards on the play.
Nice gainer. Tackle made by Jacob Williams, the junior D lineman. Certainly second and makeable. I'd like to see Reagan put together a good offensive drive here going into next week.
Moore moves Perez over to his right and will follow him down the right guard
and
across the 45. Yeah, and he's a big man, and he gets to the 48-yard line, and that's enough for a first down for the Raiders. And at this point, it's a few of the backups brought in for the Bears, and Moore just looks bigger than every other defensive player out there.
It's a good opportunity to get these guys some work if you're the Bastrop Bears. Moore looks very similar to Steve McNair, especially in that powder blue.
He lowers his shoulder to get to midfield before he is stopped after a pickup of 2, and that brings up 2nd and 8.
I haven't seen him throw, so can't exactly give him the Air McNair moniker, but he's certainly built very similarly to the once great Titan quarterback.
Clock moving at 10:15 left in the fourth quarter.
You got a new quarterback in, looks like.
It will be a direct snap to the new man in the shotgun. That is Omarion Neal, and Neal takes it across the left hash mark, just slightly angles to the outside and gets to the Bastrop Bears 45-yard line, just short of the first down by a couple yards.
Not trying to overanalyze Coach Mustafa's decision-making here, but he's either looking for potential quarterbacks in a game situation, or he's trying to give some kids just opportunities to have some fun in a ball game and get the ball in their hand and see what can happen.
Yeah, getting a little experience just of getting underneath the Friday night lights, in this case Thursday night lights. Neal spins away from one tackle, and I think he has yardage forward just enough for the first down.
Yeah, and Reagan continues this drive here, hoping to add a touchdown to this score here. Game well out of reach at this point, but if you're a Reagan Raider fan, you're a Reagan Raider coach or player, you want to end on a positive note, and there's none more positive than being able to drive down the field and get you a touchdown in the waning moments of the game.
Omarion Neal will stay in. He has Perez to his right. 3 receivers lined up on the right side. He evades 1 tackle as he lowers his shoulder at the 40 and picks up 2 yards on the play.
Neal's showing pretty good footwork there, able to shift out of the way of the first Bastrop defender and pick up a couple of yards.
8:15 left in the 4th quarter.
Now the problem with letting a bunch of kids play quarterback is they all think they're going to be quarterback next week. So
yeah,
they might all be in his office going, "Hey, you know, I played pretty good when I was in there." It'll be interesting to see the development of the Reagan Raiders and the improvement that you'll see through the season and on into the next couple of years.
Townsend on the draw play is able to evade 1 tackle on the backfield before he was brought down. That was a course collar tackle on 2nd and 8, and the personal foul will move the ball up 15 yards, be an automatic first down. And you saw it from over here, and you probably saw it at home, and that was a aggressive brutal tackle. Yeah.
Townsend up, though, and getting the play, so he seems to be fine. Certainly probably will feel that in the morning.
Oh, it was a face mask on top of it.
Yeah, he may have got a piece of face mask, but he certainly had that other hand in the back of the shoulder pads, and he brought him down pretty harshly. You know, guys have broken their legs in those type tackles, so it's one of those that there's a reason it's outlawed.
Oh, yes, for sure. You can contort your body in an awkward manner.
Yeah, not everybody's a yoga master.
1st and 10 from the 27-yard line. Raiders marching down the field. 7:25 left here in the 4th quarter. Townsend looking for room down the left side, cuts to the numbers and looks for the first down marker. He might be just short of it.
Bastrop Bear came out with the ball, but the whistle had blown. Great patience by Townsend waiting for the blocks to develop before he made his move. I think it made a difference of about 4 yards in that gain. If he tried to force it too early, he would have ran right into the back of his lineman.
Call it 2nd and 2. Ball on the 19. The Raiders in the red zone. Townsend with a zone read, hands it off, and running right off the tackle is Hodges, and Hodges picks up the first down.
Nice work by the Reagan Raiders here late in the game. Now, obviously, the Bastrop defense is substituting liberally and getting some kids some experience, but you're the Reagan Raiders. You're going to build on this and count this as a positive. Even if you don't score at this point, you're moving the ball here in the second half, and you can build on that going into district play. As we mentioned, it's going to be hard for Reagan to really make a lot of noise in the district they're in, but it's a much easier district than the one Bastrop finds itself in.
Townsend with a zone read runs to the right, and he is hit in the backfield by a couple Bears before he is brought down for a loss of 2, and the marching band coming alive for the Bastrop Bears.
Casey Reese getting in there. Townsend almost split that tackle between the 2 tacklers, but Reese making sure he gets stopped before he gets any yardage there. Loss on the play action. So tackle for loss for the Bastrop defense here late.
Both teams still playing competitively. 5:25 left in the 4th.
You know, I coached a few games in my life, and I found myself down like this before.
Townsend will lob this towards the end zone. It's broken up on the play. The intended receiver was Vontae Harper, and the man breaking the play up was Ezekiel Montemoros.
But all you can tell your players is take pride in this play, win this play, and then you can win the next one when that play comes around. But you got to forget the score. You got to forget what's happened over 3 3/4 quarters here, and just try to finish this drive here. It's going to not be easy, 3rd and 12.
3rd and 12, ball on the 19. Townsend will take the snap off a bounce, run to the right, lowers his shoulder at the 20. He doesn't pick up the first down, but he does get back to the original line of scrimmage, might have even picked up another yard, and that'll bring up 4th and about 10.
Damian Piper there from the linebacker position for the Bastrop Bears to make the play. It was one-on-one. If he was able to get by Piper, he had a lot of green ahead of him, but Piper with a solid tackle. 4th down and 11 now.
Townsend in the shotgun.
They're going to kick another field goal.
Yeah, you're right.
35-yarder.
Garcia's going to give this one a shot, although
maybe not now.
Flags come in.
There might have been a delay. Too many men in the huddle. Broke the huddle with too many guys.
Yeah, that'll back him up 5 yards. And, you know, we talked about it earlier. Ariel
that knocks
Garcia,
him out of field goal range.
He has a leg on him, and
it's a 40-yarder. Looks like they're going to give him a shot.
Why not?
You see what you got here in a game situation. District play might be tight. You may find yourself in need of a long field goal to make the playoffs or something. So we'll see what he has.
It will be a 40-yarder. And this one has the distance. The officials look at each other and
just
say
a little
no.
bit right. It did have the distance, and it was just barely to the right of the right upright. I think you see, at least if you're Coach Mustafa, you see that your kicker does have the distance. He probably knew that from practice, but you know, given that the Bastrop defense didn't rush at all, he had a good look, just not quite dead center. And that a lefty kicking from that right hash, you kind of have to push it a little bit, and the natural tendency is for it to hook back right, and it ended up just hooking just a smidge too much.
The Bears on offense for the first time this half, and it's a handoff from Forrest Giles to Conrad Pace, and Pace might have just barely gotten back to the initial line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how quickly the second half has gone. But the Reagan offense has been able to maintain possession for a good chunk of it. Hasn't really reflected on the scoreboard. That kick return is one of the reasons Bastrop hasn't really had the ball in the half.
Forrest Giles with Damian Piper in the backfield with him. Pace in as the fullback, a handoff to Piper, and Piper is wrapped up in the backfield. A good tackle made on the front line by Jalen Moore, who we saw earlier taking some snaps at quarterback. 1:45 left here in the 4th quarter, 3rd and about 8.
About 90 seconds left here tonight. Long ride home for the Austin Reagan Raiders.
Forrest Giles getting his instructions from the sideline. On 3rd and 8, zone read, he keeps it, runs to the right and cuts a corner at his right tackle. He has room across the 50, the 40. Nobody in front of him at the 20, the 10. He will not be caught, and he gets in the end zone for a touchdown. That's Romelio Forrest Giles, and he has a huge touchdown, a 64-yard touchdown here in the 4th quarter to add on to the Bears' lead. They lead 60-3.
You know, as a coach, you kind of not want to run the score up a little bit, but at the same time, these kids that are out here, the 2nd and 3rd teamers, have put in a lot of work in the spring last year, the summer, leading up to the fall, and you get them in a game and they get an opportunity. You can't ask them not to take advantage of that. He did so.
The point after attempt kicked through by Carlos Martinez.
That's going to be the ball game.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see an ensuing kickoff as the clock has been allowed to run, and with 10 seconds left, it doesn't look like we'll be lining up for the kickoff return. So that'll do it. Your final score here from Bastrop Memorial. It's the Bastrop Bears defeating the Reagan Raiders 60-3.
61.
Oh, yep, you're right. 61-3 as I update the scoreboard
That
properly.
extra point.
Yep, the extra point added on right there at the end. And, you know, on one side of things, we're seeing a team finding their identity as each game goes on here in non-district play. A really good opportunity for Reagan to go up against a team, the Bastrop Bears, who I think we can say will be one of the better teams here in the Austin area.
They certainly have a shot at the playoffs and already appear to be pretty salty and playing football crisply and together. We saw minimal penalties from the Bastrop Bears. The Reagan Raiders, especially early in this game, hurt themselves with penalties and mental mistakes, high snaps, etc. And it was too much to overcome for Reagan. And as we mentioned, Coach Mustafa started late hire for the school. Probably didn't even know what he had when he showed up in terms of talent. You know, he's working with what he has, and we saw some positive things from the Reagan Raiders. Despite all the early mistakes, they continued to battle. They were able to break the goose egg by kicking the field goal there in the late third period. Had another opportunity to get more points late, unable to get that one through the uprights. And then, of course, they gave up the late touchdown. But, you know, it's a long season. The Raiders are 0-2. The Bears are 2-0. But ultimately, these games mean nothing in terms of what these teams are trying to achieve, which is postseason berth and then success after that. So Bastrop's got their work cut out for them, though. They're in a tough district, and a lot of those teams lost. Just real quickly, a summary of that. The team picked to win the district by most publications is Brenham, and they lost to Magnolia West in week 1, 62-21. So that score's not much different than this one tonight. So maybe Brenham's not as good as everyone thought. Eastview lost to Westwood. Bastrop, of course, beat Rudder and now are 2-0. Elgin beat Manor. I believe it was I think it was Marble Falls. It might have been Dripping Springs that beat Tybee. I'm not sure. Glenn lost to Liberty Hill pretty big. And then Cedar Creek beat this same Reagan team. And Weiss, of course, lost to Leander. So it's a district that Bastrop can potentially win. They look good enough tonight to do so. Now, granted, Reagan has got some problems, and they've got work ahead of them. Certainly they're not afraid of that work. But, you know, Bastrop looks like they're going to be someone to be contended with.
They seem to have the tools on both sides of the ball. But, once again, your final score, Bastrop 61, Reagan 3. The next game for the Bastrop Bears is at Pflugerville Conley, and their first district game the following week will be at Weiss. And for the Reagan Raiders, their next game is at Eastview, and their first district game in week 4 will be at Seguin. So, for Chuck Kracy, I'm Karl Schoening. This has been an edition of SHN Sports presentation of Austin ISD Thursday Night Football. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.